she was just a little girl riding the bus to school, facing a world that told her she didn't belong. But she didn't back down. She rose, from courtroom battles to the White House gates. This is not just a story of power. This is the story of a daughter, a fighter, and a dreamer who changed the face of American history. Stay with me. What you're about to hear will inspire you in ways you didn't expect. Chapter 1: A Daughter of Two Worlds. Kamala Harris was born on October 20th, 1964, in Oakland, California. Her story begins with two very different worlds coming together. Her mother, Shyamala Gopalan, came from India. She was a cancer researcher and a strong woman who believed in justice and education. Her father, Donald Harris, was from Jamaica and became a respected economics professor. Kamala grew up learning from both cultures, Indian and Jamaican, which helped shape her unique identity. From an early age, Kamala saw the power of courage and learning. Her parents were both involved in civil rights protests. They believed in standing up for people's rights. Even as a little girl, Kamala marched in rallies, held signs, and listened to powerful speeches. She didn't understand everything back then, but she felt the energy and the need for change. Kamala's parents divorced when she was still young, and she mostly stayed with her mother. Shyamala taught her and her younger sister, Maya, to be proud of who they were. She told them, "You may be the first to do many things, but make sure you're not the last." These words stayed with Kamala all her life. Kamala was just a child, but already she saw what it meant to fight for what's right. Her home was filled with books, music, and strong ideas. She grew up with love, discipline, and a belief that she could do anything. That belief, planted early by her family, would become the seed of something much greater in the years to come. Chapter 2: A Voice Begins to Rise. As Kamala Harris grew older, her path started to take shape. She studied at Howard University in Washington, D.C., one of the most respected historically black colleges in America. At Howard, Kamala felt deeply connected to her roots. She joined student groups, spoke out on important issues, and became active in campus politics. She studied political science and economics, learning how systems work and how they sometimes fail people. After Howard, Kamala went to law school at the University of California, Hastings. It was a tough journey, and being a woman of color in law wasn't easy. But Kamala never gave up. She believed that laws could protect the weak and bring justice. That belief pushed her to work harder every day. When she became a lawyer, she started working in the Alameda County District Attorney's office. There, she stood in court to fight for victims. She saw both pain and strength in the people she served. Over time, she moved up and became a leader in the legal world. Kamala didn't just want to win cases, she wanted to make a difference. She believed in second chances, but also in being tough when needed. Some people liked her style, others didn't, but she stayed true to herself. Her voice became stronger. People began to notice her passion, her confidence, and her deep sense of justice. Kamala wasn't just doing a job. She was preparing for something much bigger. Step by step, her voice was rising, and she was not afraid to use it. Chapter 3: Breaking Barriers in San Francisco. In 2003, Kamala Harris made history. She became the District Attorney of San Francisco, the first woman, the first black person, and the first South Asian person to ever hold that office. It was a proud moment, but also a big challenge. Some people doubted her. Others thought she was too bold. But Kamala had a plan. As district attorney, she focused on justice, not just punishment. She created a special program to help first-time nonviolent offenders. Instead of sending them to jail, she gave them a second chance with job training, education, and support. Her idea was simple. People can change if they are given the tools. But not everyone agreed. When she refused to seek the death penalty for a man who killed a police officer, she faced harsh criticism. Many people turned against her. Still, Kamala stood by her decision. She believed in her values, even when it cost her support. That courage made her stronger. Kamala also worked hard to protect children and stop gun violence. She launched new ways to track illegal guns and to hold repeat offenders responsible. Her office became known for being tough but fair. People saw her as a leader who cared deeply about her city and who had the strength to make difficult choices. During this time, Kamala proved she was more than just a lawyer. She was a fighter for change. Her success in San Francisco showed the world what she could do and hinted at the bigger dreams she carried in her heart. Chapter 4. Rising as California's Attorney General. In 2010, Kamala Harris took another bold step. She ran for Attorney General of California, the top law enforcement officer in the state. It was a tough race, and on election night it looked like she had lost. But days later, after every vote was counted, Kamala won by a very small margin. She became the first woman, first black, and first South Asian Attorney General of California. Kamala now had even more responsibility. She oversaw thousands of lawyers and officers. Her job was to protect the people of California from big companies, crime, and injustice. One of her early battles was against mortgage fraud. After the 2008 housing crash, many families lost their homes. Big banks were partly to blame. Kamala stood up to them. She refused a weak settlement offer and fought for a better deal. In the end, she helped bring $20 billion in relief to struggling homeowners. She also pushed for better policing. Kamala started programs to make police work with communities, not against them. She believed trust between police and people was important. Some critics wanted her to do more, but Kamala focused on steady progress. She also protected the environment, fought for students' rights, and defended immigrants. Her time as Attorney General proved she could lead on a bigger stage. She became known across the country. People began to ask, could Kamala Harris one day serve the whole nation? She was no longer just California's top lawyer. She was a rising star with a national voice. Chapter 5. A new chapter in the U.S. Senate. In 2016, Kamala Harris took another big step forward. She decided to run for the United States Senate, hoping to represent California in Washington, D.C. The seat was being vacated by Senator Barbara Boxer, who was retiring. Many people supported Kamala from the beginning. She had already made history as California's Attorney General, and now she aimed to take her voice to the national level. She won the election easily and became only the second black woman and the first South Asian American ever elected to the U.S. Senate. In the Senate, Kamala served on important committees, including those on intelligence, homeland security, and the judiciary. Her sharp questions and fearless style during hearings caught the public's eye. Videos of her questioning top officials went viral. People saw her as tough, smart, and determined to hold powerful people accountable. Kamala focused on issues close to her heart. She pushed for fair treatment of immigrants, better health care, police reform, and equal rights. She stood up for women, children, and working families. She also fought to protect voting rights and stop racial injustice. Kamala never forgot where she came from, and she often spoke about her mother's lessons and her roots in Oakland. Her time in the Senate made her even more popular. Many Democrats saw her as the future of their party. She had experience, a strong voice, and a unique background. By 2019, people across the country were asking, would Kamala run for president? And Kamala, once again, was ready to make history. Chapter 6. The Presidential Run and a Bold Decision. In January 2019, Kamala Harris made a powerful announcement. She was running for President of the United States. She chose a special day to share the news, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Her campaign started with excitement and hope. Many people saw her as a strong leader who could bring change. Her launch event in Oakland drew over 20,000 people, one of the biggest crowds that year. Kamala's campaign focused on justice, unity, and a better future for all. She spoke about her own life, her mother's courage, and her fight for fairness. She wanted to improve health care, raise teacher salaries, and reform the criminal justice system. In debates, she stood out with her confidence and bold words, especially when she challenged opponents with tough questions. But running for president is never easy. Kamala faced challenges. There were moments when her message wasn't clear to everyone. She struggled to raise enough money to keep the campaign going strong. Some voters wanted to know more about her past decisions as a prosecutor. Slowly, her support in the polls began to fall. In December 2019, Kamala made a tough decision. She ended her campaign. Many people were disappointed, but Kamala stayed hopeful. She said, "I'm not done fighting." She knew her journey wasn't over. It was just changing direction. And soon, a new opportunity would arrive, one that would make history in a way no one expected. Chapter 7. Making History as Vice President. After ending her presidential campaign, Kamala Harris didn't stop working for the country. In 2020, as the presidential election drew near, Joe Biden, the former vice president, became the Democratic candidate. People began to wonder who he would choose as his running mate. The nation was going through a difficult time. A global pandemic, protests against racial injustice, and deep political divisions. In August 2020, Joe Biden made a historic announcement. He chose Kamala Harris as his vice presidential running mate. She became the first black woman, the first South Asian American, and only the third woman in U.S. history to be selected for the role. Her nomination was a powerful moment, especially for women and people of color around the world. Kamala called her mother's dream, to raise strong daughters, her inspiration. The campaign between Biden-Harris and Trump-Pence was intense. Kamala traveled, gave speeches, and debated with confidence. She spoke about truth, science, and unity. Many young girls saw her and believed they could do anything. On November 7, 2020, after days of vote counting, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won the election. When Kamala gave her victory speech, she wore white to honor the women who fought for the right to vote. She said, "I may be the first woman in this office, but I will not be the last." The world watched as Kamala Harris was sworn in as vice president on January 20th, 2021. It was a new beginning, not just for her, but for America. Chapter 8. Challenges, Leadership, and the Road Ahead, 2021-2025. As vice president, Kamala Harris stepped into a world full of challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic was still spreading. The economy was unstable. People were divided over politics and justice. Kamala didn't just stand beside President Biden, she became a key part of the team working to heal the country. She led the White House's efforts to fight the root causes of migration from Central America, worked to protect voting rights, and helped push the country's vaccination campaign. Kamala visited many states and countries, listening to people's concerns. She brought a strong voice to issues like women's rights, racial equality, and climate change. But her time in office was not easy. Some people criticized her leadership style. Others questioned why she stayed out of the spotlight at certain times. Still, Kamala stayed focused. She believed in showing results, not just making headlines. Her journey had always been about breaking limits, and this was no different. In 2024, President Biden and Kamala Harris ran for re-election. The campaign was tough, with strong voices from both parties, but Kamala, as always, kept fighting with calm and confidence. She spoke about protecting democracy, expanding opportunities, and building a better future for the next generation. By July 2025, Kamala Harris remained the first woman vice president of the United States, still shaping history. She inspired millions of girls, especially young women of color, showing that nothing is impossible with courage, hard work, and belief. Kamala Harris didn't just make history, she made space for others to follow. Her journey teaches us, no matter where you come from, you can rise, if you keep moving forward. What part of Kamala's journey inspired you the most? Let me know in the comments. If this story touched your heart, like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more real stories that inspire and teach. This is Glorious English, where history speaks in simple words and powerful truths. Until next time, stay curious and never stop believing in your dreams.